What if healing wasn't about becoming someone new, but it was finally about being who you are without apology? See, this is what this entire series has been pointing towards. Not to fix you, not to shame you, not to make you more palatable or performative or polished, but, but to bring you back to yourself, unmasked. See, that's the word there, because what grooming systems like 764 fear the most isn't your anger, it's your authenticity, your wholeness, your decision to stop curating yourself for approval. See, the mask may have been how you survived, but it's not how you thrive. So let's maybe spell the truth out here. You didn't choose to wear the mask as much as it was handed to you. They said, be agreeable, or don't be too emotional, or look put together, right? Be the strong one. Have you heard that one? Or don't say too much. Keep the peace. Or make them proud, right? Or don't make it awkward. Or you're twos, right? Like you're too intense. You're too sensitive. You're too much. That's one I've heard a lot. See, every message that was spoken or implied, if it carved out a version of you that felt safer than the truth. And over time, you forgot where the mask began and where you ended. But somewhere on the inside, you knew that the laugh wasn't real. You knew that the silence was too loud, right? You knew that the role was just that, a role. And you were tired, like so tired. See, 764 thrives in that zone of exhaustion because when you're worn down, you're far easier to mold and you accept the script a lot more readily. You play the part and you perform what's expected because it feels safer than being seen. But not anymore. Because now you've started to remember what your own voice sounds like. You've started to tell the truth, even when it felt scary to do so. You've started to walk away from systems that don't really see you fully. You've stopped apologizing for needing space or clarity or rest. See, that's the shift there. That's the moment that the mask begins to slip. Not out of rebellion, but out of reverence. See, living unmasked does not mean that you're sharing everything with everyone, right? But it means not necessarily pretending that anything has to be in order to stay approved. But it does mean you're showing up as one who desires clarity instead of agreeableness. One who wants to be curious instead of compliant. One who is honest instead of being polished. One who is whole instead of being rehearsed. It means loving the version of you that's in process, not just the one that looks like they're in process. And it means creating these relationships and work dynamics and environments where the full truth can have space to breathe. See, that's the oxygen that freedom needs. And freedom, that's what we were made for. But let me just pause and maybe name something that's true. Living unmasked does come with risk. See, you will be misunderstood. You will disappoint people. You will trigger others who are still living behind their own masks. You'll most likely lose some connections that were built on performance. And still, in spite of all this, it's worth it. Because what you're gaining is worth far more than the approval you're losing. See, you gain peace, you gain clarity, you gain relationships that are rooted in reality instead of roles. You gain a body that no longer flinches from its own reflection. And you gain these mornings that start without the dread. You gain a voice that doesn't crack under pressure. In short, you gain yourself. See, grooming systems like 764 didn't steal your identity. They just buried it beneath scripts and shame and silence. But now you've unearthed it, you've named it, you've started to live like it actually matters. That's what living unmasked looks like. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's not about trying to prove anything. It's subtle, it's steady, it's sacred. And so now we stand here, like at the close of this movement, but not the end, because movements don't end with silence. They end with action, right? With lives that are now lived differently, with stories that are told without the shame, with people who refuse to pretend anymore. See, now you're that person. And it's not because you've arrived as much as because you finally come home. You've come home to your own voice and to your body and to your truth, to the place where integrity and intimacy are no longer just theories. They're now how you move through this world, how you love, how you lead, how you live unmasked. So now what? I mean, where do we go from here? I mean, what's next? What's next after naming the harm and dismantling the scripts and choosing to show up fully in a way that you can be seen in your wholeness? What's next is this: reclaiming your worth, not in theory, not with affirmations that you don't believe, but reclaiming your worth in your bones and in your breath and in your bank and your friendships and your decisions and your boundaries. See, your worth, that doesn't shrink when questioned, right? Your worth, that doesn't really fall with others' opinions. Your worth that isn't really dependent on being useful or performative or praiseworthy. That's what we're stepping into next. I'm going to devote the entire next month of October to discovering what was always true, and that is, you're worthy. Not when you're masked, but when you're most you. So, thank you, dear listener, for walking this path with me. Thank you for holding the mirror. Thank you for staying with the hard truths. Thank you for becoming the kind of person who now makes it easier for others to unmask as well too. See, this is not the end. No, this is the breath before what's next. And I hope I'll see you there. Thanks for listening in.